We're an American original, dependable, historic, nuanced, with all the comforts of home, even when you're just visiting. So we're celebrating for all that we've left untouched and all that we've changed. A place where the past meets the future. So consider this your invitation.
We've been celebrating here in Elizabeth for 350 years, and we're just getting started. Welcome back to our city, where I'm pleased to be joined by Miss Lisa Barron, who is with the Army Corps of Engineers and has been a great partner in Estuary Day here in the city of Elizabeth. Lisa, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You know, as a project manager at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, you've been here every year celebrating not only Estuary Day, but whatever we do in the Arthur Kill. And you work with our students, and we appreciate the efforts that you put in on behalf of the Army Corps of Engineers.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you've come up through this business and getting involved with the Army Corps. It's fascinating, your work ethic.
Well, I do love working for the Army Corps, and I probably have more than 25 years experience in this field, and I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary in November at the Corps. And before that, I worked for New Jersey Department of Transportation for about a decade, working as a sponsor for Army Corps projects that included restoration and the harbor deepening program. And now I'm managing the pretty much the restoration program within the district for the harbor estuary, as well as the Upper Hudson up to the Troy Lock and Dam.
Well, you said it, the harbor deepening project. So I know it's over, but the work that you've done there has led to the raising of the Bayonne Bridge.
Yeah.
And the first vessel. Were you there, by the way?
I wasn't. Were you?
I was invited, but
couldn't make it.
Well, the hassle to get there. You had to board a bus, then you had to go through security, and then you had to get out to the pier. To be honest with you, I'd rather watch it on television.
Well, I know that, I guess it was in September 7th when they had the big commemorative ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
And that was to the Theodore Roosevelt coming into the harbor. And basically that was a result of the harbor deepening project, bringing in...
Which you managed.
49 foot. Well, I was involved heavily.
Okay.
And with a lot of the beneficial use of dredge material from the harbor deepening, but it was involved over the years. And that Theodore Roosevelt, if you can picture, I guess it was over 1,200 feet long, so 4 football fields long, 166 feet wide, and drew 49 feet. And bringing in one of the largest container capacities of like 14,000.
Well, ever in the history of ever.
Well, in the New York, New Jersey harbor.
In our harbor.
Right. And so as it's coming in, if you think about our harbor deepening project, which was dredging 36 miles and started in 2004. So celebrated that completion last September. And so dredging 36 miles from the ocean and up into the Arthur Kill, or the Kill Van Call into Newark Bay, and down to meet the terminals that are here, Port Elizabeth, Port Newark, and then right across the river, the New York.
So that's a 50-foot dredge, right? A 50-foot draft?
Deepening. Yeah, that was a 49-foot draft, that particular vessel. But it was satisfied by our 50-foot deepening that was just completed. So that was a really huge success, and one of the largest civil works programs in the nation.
It maintained the commerce in our region and maintained some high-paying jobs. Without that,
yes,
a lot of these jobs would have went to Baltimore or Vancouver or up and down the coast. And
right, jobs. I mean, bringing in cargo that everyone needs, to live here. This is the most cost-effective way to bring in the goods that we need every day. And so keeping the prices low, plus being the most effective from a cost perspective, bringing in via ship. As well as environmentally friendly way, so that you're not having those trucks that come from other ports that have to come in and then increase the traffic, as well as degrade our air quality. This is the best way. We're glad that we have a port here.
So besides the harboring project, the deepening project you're on, the Army Corps of Engineers does a lot of work in our estuary and the Arthur Kill.
Yeah.
And maybe you could talk about some of the work that the Army Corps of Engineers is involved in, not only you, but the entire department.
Yeah, and aside from navigation and maintaining our channels, we also have the ecosystem restoration mission, which I love to talk about, restoring the estuary, improving having having projects that improve the environmental quality, bring back habitat, improve sediment and water quality. So that ecosystem restoration mission, as well as flood risk management and Sandy recovery. That was, of course, we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary of Hurricane Sandy, and so restoring and repairing the shorelines, as well as completing a lot of the studies that were ongoing over the years to figure out solutions for our shorelines so that they're protective and resilient for the communities and for the infrastructure. We also have harbor operations, our operations division and ops function, not only maintaining the channels, but as well as responding to emergency services where we're talking about responding to natural disasters and anything that the state and the local government can't handle. We're there to protect, to save life and property.
Is the Army Corps involved in Puerto Rico at all?
Yeah, we are. I apologize for that.
That's right.
We've actually deployed people from our district to go down to Puerto Rico, to go to Florida, to go to Texas, and so trying to be down there and help in whatever way we can with the issues that are going on.
You haven't been dispatched there?
No, they actually asked me if I wanted to go, but I figure I'll do those types of events when my children go to college.
So the current and pending projects in the Arthur Kill, they impact our city, and the deepening project impacted us with the blasting and the noise, and we had a few minor issues, but nothing that the Army Corps didn't solve in a very great way. But tell us about how the impact of the city of Elizabeth is in a positive way.
Well, I think aside from the negatives, which are
that always
short-term,
happens, but
construction,
they were solved.
Right, they were solved, and so we touched on those benefits and the impacts to the city of Elizabeth in this region. Bringing in the ships and at that cost-effective, just from a day-to-day living, budgeting process of having goods that come in that are cheaper. So that's a benefit of having the port here and from the navigation program. But restoration and the intent of restoring the estuary and beneficially using that dredge material for closing landfills and hopefully making the environment a better place. And some of the projects that we've done, we've released 2 major reports. I know it's just reports, but we want to turn that into action. But I've been on before talking about the Comprehensive Restoration Plan we released last year, finally version 1, which is that vision of what the environment should be, so that when the residents come out to the water, the people that do live right along the river, right along Newark Bay, can actually have an improved environmental quality.
And we played a role in that, right? In answering surveys in the Future City and other
definitely in our outreach, getting input and working with the locals, and you've helped with providing those venues for our outreach and input. But we recently released the Hudson River and Estuary feasibility report in February, and that was a huge effort that I manage. That is basically completed 6 different studies that were going on. It includes Lower Passaic River and the Hackensack River recommendations, and so we've recommended 33 restoration projects within the Hudson River and Estuary. And so it's the first 33 projects to move forward with and to recommend for authorization. And so looking at, Lower Passaic River is just right upstream to your community. And so working with EPA in combination for the remediation that is going to take place and the dredging bank to bank, that we then will restore some sites that are in those particular areas. And that improvement in the river will hopefully, stop the transport of the contaminated material that comes down into the Newark Bay and into the region and the rest of the harbor, as well as restoration projects within the Hackensack. And so hopefully in that restoration, as well as from the standpoint of important for your region, some of the flood risk management projects that have come out and the Sandy recovery, 15.2 million cubic yards. So it's like 10 Empire State Buildings full of sand have been placed on the beaches, whether it's been northern New Jersey or New York, New York City. So even though they were for restoring and repairing those beaches to protect the infrastructure and the communities that live behind, fully everyone who goes to the New Jersey shore for a summer vacation has a better beach.
Do you think the residents understand the connection between the Army Corps of Engineers and the work that actually gets done? It's hard.
I think it is hard, especially if you're not living. You might have seen the work that we did when you're dredging. If you live nearby on the coast or along the river, where you'd see a dredge in operation, and so you know that we're doing those kinds of things. But if you're going to the beach, I don't know if they recognize when they go and they have to walk much further to the water and notice how much bigger the beach is, that it was the Army Corps of Engineers that saved that beach, and or from their shore house that was about to fall into the water. And as storms and wave action just hits the beaches every day that we're.
So the work that we've done, are we better prepared for another Hurricane Sandy or worse?
Yeah, I mean, the projects that have been completed, and a lot of studies have been completed. So once we implement a lot of these projects that are now in design phase and moving forward in construction to protect the shorelines, hopefully those particular projects will protect the communities. And I know that right now there's a future study that's going on. It's New York Harbor and tributaries, and they might have even had scoping meetings in your area where they're embarking on a feasibility study that is looking at the entire harbor, so similar to the study area of the restoration program, but going up into the Hudson as well, but looking at the future, what kind of future coastal storm risk management measures need to be implemented within the region so we could protect the communities. So whether it's a coastal storm barrier or flood walls and levees along the perimeter of the region. We're actively working with the states and the city and all of the local communities to advance that study and to determine what's the best solution to protect the communities in the region from
Working
storms.
with the governments can be cumbersome. I mean, it's a difficult task, and pulling all these people together, all of the different interest groups as well.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot. I mean, all of our programs are cost shared for the most part, so we work with sponsors, work with the state and the city, both states, and we have to work with the local communities and all of the local organizations to really not only figure out what the best solutions are, but be consistent with the ongoing planning that's going on in the municipalities. Everybody has programs for their shoreline, trying to make sure that we're consistent, that we leverage programs together, we can work together and come up with the best solution.
So Lisa, in closing, you've been an impactful educator at our Estuary Day events, and you choose to come year after year and share your knowledge as well as your experience. Well, what do you get out of it? I mean, it's got to be a little something to see the reaction of some of these young students based on your education and experience.
Well, I love to teach, and whether it's being on your show or whether it's hosting a harbor inspection or going to your event twice a year, whether it's Estuary Day or Environmental Earth Day in the spring. And I love to teach kids. I started out my career as teaching marine biology to kids, and I just find it really rewarding. And if you can, this generation is so important to hopefully spark their interest in going into a STEM field, which is the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics field. That we need people to come and go into this field and make a difference, as well as just really have an appreciation for the world around them and knowing that they can make a difference working with the other organizations that are here.
Probably the most important thing you said there is, having the world around them, knowing the knowledge.
Yeah.
Lisa, I want to thank you for your service to the City of Elizabeth and the commitment of the Army Corps of Engineers in working with us to make it not only a better harbor, but a safer harbor as well.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you for your commitment and the events that you sponsor every year, and just and having the Corps of Engineers be able to
it's great to
share
work
our
together.
work. Thank you very much.
For Miss Lisa Barron and Sebastian Prado and Dr. Craig Donovan, I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.
We're creating tomorrow's jobs today. Kane University.